They lied to you. From the moment you could speak, the world began shaping you into something controllable. It started with innocent words. Be good, follow the rules, do as you're told. But as you got older, that script evolved into a more dangerous narrative. Go to school, get good grades, get a safe job, save your money, retire at 65. They told you that this was how life works, that this was the path to success, to safety, to happiness. But no one told you that this entire system was designed to keep you in line, that it was built not to make you free, but to make you obedient, to turn you into a cog in a machine. You see, the biggest lie you were ever told is that following the rules would make you successful, that if you did everything right, you'd be rewarded, that the world would hand you freedom, wealth, power, respect. But the world doesn't reward obedience. It rewards leverage. And they made sure you never learned that. From childhood, you were placed in a room full of other children and forced to sit still, be quiet, and memorize information that you'd forget after a test. You were graded not on creativity, not on leadership, not on boldness or vision, but on how well you could follow instructions. Think about that. For over a decade, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, you were trained like a machine. You weren't taught how to question the system. You weren't taught how to build, how to invest, how to sell, how to lead. You were taught how to obey. That's not education. That's programming. By the time you graduated, you were already locked in. College, student loans, your first job, your first car payment, rent, credit cards, all of it. Chains, modern chains. You didn't question it because no one around you did either. You assumed this was life. Everyone works, everyone's tired, everyone's stressed, everyone's broke, everyone waits for Friday and dreads Monday. That's just how it is, right? But deep down, something felt wrong. You looked around and wondered why the people who work the hardest, nurses, construction workers, janitors, waiters, are the ones who struggle the most. You noticed that working hard didn't seem to be enough. And you were right, because the truth is that hard work only matters if it's applied in the right system. The janitor who scrubs toilets at 3 a.m., he works hard. The mother of 3 working 2 jobs to survive, she works hard. But they're not rich. They're not free, because the system doesn't reward effort. It rewards positioning. It rewards ownership. It rewards those who understand how to play the game, not those who blindly follow the rules. And that's where they got you. They told you to work hard, but they never told you to work smart. They told you to stay loyal to your job, but never told you that the job isn't loyal to you. One layoff, one recession, one automation, one policy shift, and you're gone. And when that happens, they don't say thank you. They don't offer you a parachute. They give you a severance check and tell you to move on. They told you that school would prepare you for life. But school didn't teach you how to make money. It taught you how to earn a grade. It didn't teach you how to negotiate, how to market, how to build. It didn't teach you about taxes or debt or financial freedom. It taught you how to be an employee, to be part of the machine. Because the school system, as we know it, wasn't designed to create free thinkers. It was built during the Industrial Revolution to train factory workers, people who are compliant, punctual, and easy to replace. And while factories turned into offices and machines turned into screens, the programming never changed. Sit still, be quiet, follow instructions, don't question, don't dream too big, don't take risks, just fit in. And so you did. You followed the blueprint, you got the degree, you took the job, you followed the path laid out for you, but something still didn't feel right. You weren't free, you were tired, burnt out, disconnected. And when you looked for answers, they told you to be grateful, to stop complaining. At least you have a job, at least you're not starving, at least you're not homeless. But that's not a life, that's survival. They told you to chase stability, but what's stable about living paycheck to paycheck? What's stable about trading your time for money, hoping your boss doesn't decide to replace you with AI or someone younger or someone cheaper? That's not safety, that's dependence. And dependence is dangerous Because the moment you rely on something outside of yourself for survival, you become controllable. That's what they want. People who are just happy enough to not revolt, but just scared enough to never question anything. People too tired to think, too broke to change, and too distracted to care. They sell you dreams of freedom while they design systems that make you slaves. Not in chains, not in prisons, but in offices, in routines, in comfort zones. They tell you to be proud of your 9 to 5. They call it the grind. They glorify burnout. They say, rise and grind like it's a badge of honor. But they never tell you what you're grinding for, who you're grinding for, and what you're giving up in the process. The truth is this: you were born into a world designed to make you small, to make you obedient, to make you dependent. From birth, you were conditioned to think a certain way, and every time you questioned it, you were told you were wrong. Every time you stepped outside the line, you were punished. Every time you tried to dream big, they reminded you to be realistic. And so you shrank, you complied, you settled, and worst of all, you believed them. You believed the biggest lie ever told: that success comes from obedience, that your life should be about security, that your purpose is to survive, not to conquer, that you're just another number in the system meant to consume, obey, and expire quietly. But deep down, a voice remains, a whisper, a fire. You feel it when you look around and realize that nothing you were told ever made you truly happy. You feel it when you see someone else living free, and something inside you says, that should be me. You feel it when you wake up and think, is this it? Is this all life is? That voice is the truth trying to reach you, the truth they tried to bury, the truth they don't want you to discover, the truth that you were born for more. You weren't born to just exist. You weren't born to live for weekends and fear Mondays. You weren't born to clock in and clock out until your body breaks. You weren't born to beg for freedom in your 60s after giving your best years to a company that doesn't remember your name. You were born to create, to rise, to lead, to break the rules, to build something that lasts, to write your own story. And the moment you realize that, the moment you understand the lie, everything changes. That's when your old life begins to crumble. That's when the illusion loses its power. That's when you stop asking for permission and start taking control. Speaking of money, it rules the world, but no one ever taught you how it actually works. You've been using it your whole life, working for it, stressing over it, chasing it, but deep down, you don't truly understand it. And that's not your fault. That's by design. Because if you really understood how money works, you'd be dangerous. You'd realize that you're not supposed to trade your time for it. You'd realize that money isn't real in the way you think it is, that it's a game, and the rich play by different rules than you. They told you to save. They told you to keep your money in the bank, to live below your means. But they never told you that inflation is slowly stealing your savings. That while you're stashing away $1,000 a month in a savings account, the value of your money is quietly eroding. They never told you that the bank takes your savings and lends it out to make money while giving you nothing in return. They never told you that money sitting still is money dying. They never told you that the people who get rich don't save money. They invest it. You see, the wealthy don't work for money. They make money work for them. While you're exchanging hours of your life for a paycheck, they're building systems, they're buying assets, they're leveraging debt, they're moving pieces you don't even see on the board. They understand that money isn't earned, it's created. That value is what matters, not effort. That if you can solve big problems, build big things, or influence the masses, you control the flow of money. But you were never taught that. You were taught to be a good employee, to show up on time, to follow instructions, to smile and nod and do just enough to keep your job. You were taught to climb the corporate ladder, not to build your own. And when you asked for more, they said work harder. When you still couldn't get ahead, they said be patient. And when you looked at the people who had money, they told you they were lucky or privileged or crooks. But most of the time, they just understood the rules of the game. And you didn't. Because the truth is, we don't live in a world of fairness. We live in a world of leverage. The people who win are the ones who have leverage. Money is leverage, skills are leverage, attention is leverage, ownership is leverage. But you were taught to give all of that away. You were taught to rent your time instead of own your results. You were taught to be replaceable, to specialize in one small task so the machine could swap you out at any moment. You were taught to be dependent on your paycheck, your benefits, your pension, and the more dependent you are, the less power you have. Power comes from options, and options come from assets. But most people own nothing. They have no business, no brand, no investments, no skills that can generate income on command. They trade time for money, and when the time runs out, so does the money. That's why most people are one emergency away from collapse. One car repair, one layoff, one bad month, and everything starts falling apart. That's not freedom. That's financial slavery with a smile. And here's the kicker. They made you feel guilty for wanting more. They said money is evil, that rich people are greedy, that chasing wealth is shallow, but what they never told you is that money is just a tool. It amplifies who you are. If you're generous, money helps you give more. If you're ambitious, money helps you build faster. If you're wise, money gives you space to think. Poverty doesn't make you moral. Struggle doesn't make you spiritual. Broke isn't noble. It's just exhausting. But here's what they really don't want you to realize. The game is rigged only if you play it the way they told you to. The moment you stop playing by their rules, the moment you start learning how money works, how wealth is built, how leverage is gained, you become untouchable. Because money isn't made by working more hours. It's made by solving problems at scale. It's made by owning systems. It's made by understanding value and positioning yourself as someone who creates it. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop looking for jobs and start looking for leverage. You stop asking, how much can I make per hour? And start asking, how can I build something that pays me while I sleep? You stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an owner. Because while most people are scrolling, watching, and spending, someone else is building, selling, and earning. And the person who owns the platform always wins. Look around. The world's richest people don't have jobs. They have ownership. Elon owns companies. Jeff owns platforms. Zuckerberg owns attention. They own systems. And you were taught to be part of someone else's. But that doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to stay stuck in the lie. You don't have to be another statistic. You don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to sit in traffic for a job you hate, to work for someone you don't respect, to build someone else's dream. You can wake up. You can take control. You can study the game and play it your way. You can build something of your own, something that pays you, frees you, and lifts others along the way. But it starts with killing the lie that says you're just a worker, the lie that says you have no power, the lie that says wealth is for someone else. The truth, you're more capable than you've ever been told, but you've been playing small because that's what they trained you to do. Break the training, learn how money works, build leverage, and never be at the mercy of a paycheck again. You were born into a mental prison, a system so deep, so invisible, most people never realize they're inside it. They wake up every day thinking they're making their own choices, living their own lives, but everything they do, everything they believe, everything they chase was planted there by someone else. And they call it normal life. Go to school, get good grades, get a job, work 40 years, retire at 65, hope your body still works, hope your pension holds up, maybe travel once a year if you're lucky. They sell it like freedom, but it's a carefully crafted cage. You were never meant to be free, you were meant to be useful to the system, to the economy, to the people at the top who designed the game you're stuck in. And from the moment you were born, the programming began. TV shows, school lessons, advertisements, music, social media, all of it whispering the same message in your ear. Don't question the system. Fit in, obey, be normal. But what's normal? Waking up with anxiety every morning, working a job you hate, living paycheck to paycheck, feeling numb, directionless, like something's missing, but you can't explain what. That's not normal. That's designed. That's the Matrix. And if you've ever felt like the world is holding you back, like no matter how hard you try, you can't break through, it's because you're fighting against your own programming. Because the truth is, they never needed to lock you in chains. They just needed to lock your mind. They taught you to fear risk, to play it safe, to stay comfortable. And so you avoid discomfort like it's poison, not realizing that discomfort is the doorway to freedom. They taught you to chase pleasure, to numb pain with dopamine, scroll, swipe, eat, watch, consume, keep your brain foggy, your body weak, your willpower low, and then they sell you solutions to the problems they created. Pills for your anxiety, subscriptions for your boredom, products for your insecurity, all of it designed to keep you passive, distracted, and obedient. And they taught you to stay quiet, to not stand out, to not be too ambitious, too confident, too different, because the moment you realize your own power, their system starts to collapse. But here's the truth. You were born to be powerful. There's a fire inside you they tried to put out, a hunger they told you was too much, a vision they told you was unrealistic, but you feel it, don't you? That pressure in your chest, that quiet rage, that voice that whispers, you were made for more. It's not lying. That's you. The real you. The you before the programming. So how do you escape? You reprogram yourself. You unlearn everything that weakens you. You stop absorbing junk information. You stop watching content that makes you dumber, slower, softer. You stop surrounding yourself with losers who normalize failure, weakness, and excuses. And you rebuild. You train your body like it's a weapon. You train your mind like it's a fortress. You become sharp, disciplined, unbreakable. You learn skills. You make money. You build leverage. You become a threat, not to people, but to the system that wants you powerless. Because here's the thing, freedom isn't a gift, it's a fight. It's waking up at 5 a.m. when everyone else is sleeping. It's grinding when no one's watching. It's reading books instead of scrolling TikTok. It's going to the gym when you're tired, learning when you're confused, taking action when you're scared. That's freedom. That's the path. You kill the weak version of yourself and you build a new one, piece by piece, day by day, in silence, in pain, in hunger. And eventually, something shifts. You stop looking for motivation and start running on discipline. You stop caring about opinions and start trusting your own vision. You stop playing their game and start building your own. People will call you crazy, arrogant, obsessive. Let them. Let them laugh while you build. Let them sleep while you grind. Let them stay plugged in while you unplug and level up. Because one day, they'll look at you and ask how you did it, how you got free, how you became successful, how you changed your life. And you'll tell them, I stopped believing the lie. Now let me talk about an ongoing war, not with guns, not with bombs, but with narratives. A war against strength, leadership, clarity, and masculinity. And most men have no idea it's even happening. Because this war isn't loud. It doesn't scream at you. It whispers. It tells you being masculine is toxic. It tells you being aggressive is dangerous. It tells you being dominant is oppressive. It tells you to calm down, soften up, stay in line. And it wraps it all in the language of equality, inclusion, safety. But it's not about safety, it's about control. The truth is, the most powerful force in history has always been the strong, focused, disciplined man. The man who can lead, build, protect, provide, and fight for what matters. That man built civilizations. That man ended wars. That man inspired empires. So why would they want that man gone? Because he's dangerous to their system. He doesn't obey. He doesn't collapse under pressure. He doesn't play the victim. He doesn't need the system's help. He creates his own path and brings others with him. And that man is becoming extinct, not by accident, but by design. They weaken him from birth. They fill his diet with trash, his mind with poison, his body with chemicals. They drown him in porn, social media, Netflix, weed, antidepressants. They tell him emotions are everything. Discipline is abuse, and failure is final. They give him fake role models, influencers who flex fake lives, rappers who glorify self-destruction, TV dads who are lazy, dumb, and soft. Where are the warriors? Where are the kings? Where are the builders? Gone. Erased, replaced by broken boys in grown men's bodies, chasing pleasure, escaping discomfort, and waiting for someone to save them. But no one's coming, and that's the truth they don't want you to hear. No one is coming to save you. Not your teachers, not your boss, not the government, not your parents, not some millionaire on Instagram. You're it. If you want to escape, you have to rise. If you want to win, you have to fight. And if you want to change your life, no one else can do it for you. Not in 2025, not in this world. Because the truth is, they want you weak. Weak men are easy to manipulate, easy to distract, easy to sell to, easy to blame, easy to shame, easy to control. But when you wake up, when you start to train, and when you begin to think clearly, when you speak with strength and walk with purpose, they panic because they can't control a man like that. And here's the final truth, the biggest truth of all. You were never broken. You were lied to from the beginning about your value, about your potential, about your power. You weren't meant to be average. You weren't meant to stay quiet. You weren't meant to just survive. You were meant to build, to protect, to lead, to conquer. That power is still in you. Under the noise, under the pain, under the fear, you just have to remember. So here's your call to action. Unplug, turn off the lies, get off the apps that drain your mind. Stop numbing yourself with fake pleasure. Stop chasing cheap dopamine. Rebuild. Train your body until it becomes unbreakable. Train your mind until it becomes unstoppable. Build skills, make money, build leverage. Lead yourself so you can lead others. And never forget, you don't need their permission to be great. You don't need a degree. You don't need a certificate. You don't need validation. You don't need to wait. You just need to choose. Right now, right here, today, to become the man you were meant to be, to reject the biggest lie you were ever told, and to finally wake up.